Hi everybody, and welcome to Loft Legacy. Today I'm going to be looking at one of the biggest British TV comedy series of the 80s, Wiedersehen Pet. Now, if nobody has heard of the show, Wiedersehen is obviously goodbye in German, and pet is a term of endearment. So Wiedersehen Pet means goodbye my dear, pet being a term used in the northeast of England, which is where the show's key characters come from, Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. So we're going to be looking at series, mainly series 1 and 2 in this video, but you don't realise how many careers this series launched and how many stars in the UK and even internationally were brought to the fore in this quite landmark series. The premise is 7 working guys, all from different backgrounds, all with different characters. And I can actually relate very much to this series because 20 or so years ago, working on the railway in the UK, I worked a 13-day on, 1 day off, 13-day on, 6 days off shift pattern. And the company sent us, and it could have been 3 of us to 25 of us, all in a big group of, the size of the group varied, put us in hotels of various standard, and it was so much like a Wiedersehen Pet. A Wiedersehen Pet, of course, didn't have the bad language you get with 20 guys living together in a hotel, but you had guys like me who were quite quiet, and I just wanted to get the job done, sleep, and get home as quickly as I could to see my family. But on the flip side, there were the drinkers, the womanizers, the gamblers, the fighters, the comedians. So this microcosm of life of men living and working together is captured perfectly in A Wiedersehen Pet, especially in the first series. And we're going to look at both series right now. Series 1 came out in 1983, and the premise comes from Frank Rodham, who created the series, knew a guy from Stockton upon Tees, again in the northeast of England, who'd worked abroad as a bricklayer and come back with all these stories of goings on and shenanigans abroad. And A Wiedersehen Pet follows that format. You've got 7 working guys who become known as the Magnificent Seven, and all different characters living together in Germany, in West Germany, in the early 80s, because they couldn't get work in the United Kingdom, so they have to travel to Germany and live there to get work. The funny thing about their lifestyles is that when they move over, they think they're going to be living in a hostel, which is like a hotel for workers, but they're not. They live in a wooden hut, and conditions are pretty terrible, which adds to the comedy value. Now, as I said, this launched quite a few careers. The main one being pretty much a complete unknown, Jimmy Nail.
That's not true. I rang on Monday to find out the FA Cup draw, didn't I?
Jimmy Nail played foul-mouth, loudmouth Oz. Not the most sophisticated of men. He was basically, all he wanted to do was drink and spend his money on going out. Didn't send any home to his wife and child. He just wanted to drink. But he was kind of endearing in a strange way with it. But it launched the career of Jimmy Nail, who went on to be a big star in a series called Spender. He was in the film Evita, and he even had a musical career. He had some big hits here in the UK, singing. So Jimmy Nail as Oz is probably the most memorable character from the series.
The morale of our hut? Look, we're not prisoners of war, man, keeping a stiff upper lip in the face of adversity.
Probably the central character is a man called Dennis Patterson, played by Tim Healy. Now, Dennis was slightly older than the rest of the gang, and they kind of looked up to him and they become their unofficial leader, which is something he didn't really enjoy being the leader. But the series covers, his marriage is in trouble, he meets somebody else in Germany. So Dennis is really the heart and soul, and a lot of the drama in the series revolves around Dennis's character.
I know. It's just, if I earned a bit more, I wouldn't feel so guilty about going out with the lads.
Neville Hope is played by Kevin Whatley, and Kevin Whatley went on to quite great fame in the United Kingdom in the series Inspector Morse. But as Neville, he's the quiet, shy, family guy, in love with his wife, misses home, homesick, and he's kind of the reluctant one that, you know, where some of the guys think enjoy themselves in Germany, he really doesn't like being there.
There's a tin of pilchards here if anybody wants one. Oh, and some Toblerone.
Well, I think I'll pass on that combination.
Barry Taylor, or the Radish, as he's sometimes known, is played by Timothy Spall, who has had a huge career since Wiedersehen Pet. And Barry plays an electrician, probably a little bit more intelligent and better educated than the rest of the team, but Barry is the Radish, and he's from the West Midlands, and all his money goes back to the West Bromwich and District Building Society. Apologies to anybody from Wolverhampton, that's a really bad Wolverhampton accent, by the way. And Barry, he hasn't got great social skills, yes, and he's full of acne, and but he's a really funny character in this, and Timothy Spall, great actor.
Fish and chips. That's what I fancy now. You know, real English fish and chips, wrapped in a Sunday mirror with loads of vinegar.
Albert Arthur Moxey is everybody's favourite arsonist. Yes, he's an arsonist. Sometimes on the run from the police, sometimes not. Prison escapee, but quite a funny character with it, and he's from Liverpool. He doesn't really come into it until I think the third episode, and he only gets to come into the hut because he's got a dartboard. So Moxie's a quiet character in the first series, but he comes into his own in series 2, played by Christopher Fairbank as well, who had quite a big career since Wiedersehen Pet. Another one whose career the series launched.
Bye.
Nah, mate, you've already twisted once. Can't buy once you're twisted.
All right. Twist again.
Like we did last summer.
Shut up, boys, man.
Then I imagine you're bust.
Not necessarily.
Next we've got Wayne Winston Norris, played by the late Gary Holton. Gary Holton died during the making of the series 2, and the last episode is actually dedicated to him. He did have a drug problem in real life, but he was actually a music star. He was the singer of the Heavy Metal Kids in the 70s, and the rumour has it he was in contention. He was one of the contenders to be Bon Scott's replacement in AC/DC, but his character Wayne Norris is the womanizer. He's got all the flash gear, not like the shirts I've got on today, but he's got all the good gear and all the patter, and likes the music and gets the girls. Really funny character is Wayne, but strikes up quite a strange friendship with Barry. So you got the womanizer being a close friend with the quiet guy, Barry. So Wayne and Barry form a little bit of a funny double act. I think they're both away from home and they strike up a friendship. So quite an important character is Wayne.
Don't be so sure. Bomber's first law of economics is the more income you gives me, the more I live beyond it.
And finally, my favourite character, Bomber. Brian Bomber Busbridge. Bomber's ready, bomber's away is one of his many catchphrases. Played by the late great Pat Roach, who you'll probably better know for being in movies. He was in all the first 3 Indiana Jones movies, and he played the big bald-headed German guy who had the punch-up with Indiana Jones outside the plane, and he was in the 2nd and 3rd Indiana Jones films. He was Count Lippy in Never Say Never Again, and he was actually a really good actor. And his character, Bomber, was from the West Country, the Bristol area, but he was actually from the West Midlands, and many people actually thought he was from the West Country, not the West Midlands. So a very good actor on The Quiet, and he was in A Clockwork Orange, and I think he was in Barry Lyndon. So he was actually in Kubrick films also. So a very underrated actor. Often played the heavy, the big guy. He was a big guy, and he started out his career as a professional wrestler in real life. But I believe in real life, he was a real gentle giant and a gentleman, and he is much missed. So you saw me before holding this behemoth. This is the Series 1 DVD box set that I've had for quite a few years. I bought this when it came out. This actually only contains 4 discs. It's a real bad example of over-the-top packaging. See, 4 discs, and the rest is just a cardboard insert, but it's quite nice nevertheless. Each disc features some of the pictures of the guys. So there's Barry, Wayne, and a gorilla's head on that one. And each disc contains 3 episodes. You know, some pictures of a group shot of them. So quite a nice package. A bit over the top in terms of packaging, but the breeze block is quite nice. Don't forget, 3 of the main cast members were bricklayers, and Barry was an electrician, Moxie was a plasterer, and Wayne was a carpenter. So they're all set in Germany, but the series wasn't actually all filmed in Germany. They only filmed 10 days in West Germany. They filmed in Dusseldorf, where the series is set, but I believe they also filmed in Hamburg, and some say that you can spot some Hamburg number plates if you're really interested. Personally, I've not bothered where it was filmed. In all honesty, when it came out for years afterwards, I actually thought it was all filmed in Germany, but they only did 10 days on location. And to recreate a German construction site, they actually imported German bricks into the UK, which is fantastic. And I honestly thought it was in Germany for years until there was a documentary on TV about it. The writing is by Dick Clements and Ian Lafreniere, who is 2 of the biggest comedy writers in the UK and have written huge sitcoms such as Porridge and Whatever Happened to the Lightly Lads. They've also, contributed uncredited to the Bond film Never Say Never Again, which also features Pat Roach, so a bit of an odd tie up there between the series and James Bond films. There's a few guest appearances in this. Michael Sherd, who you might recognise from The Empire Strikes Back, and he played Adolf Hitler in the 3rd Indiana Jones film. He plays Herr Grunwald, who's the site manager, and he's very, very, very strict and very German and very precise. Michael Elphick plays McGowan, who's the big drunken villain of the piece, and there's an appearance in one episode from a very young Ray Winston playing a soldier absent without leave from the army the guys encounter on a fishing trip. So, Series 1 highly recommended, one of the classic British comedies of our time. See if you can check it out. Which brings me to Series 2 and another breeze block. I actually prefer Series 2 to Series 1. Series 1 is just set in one place and they live in a wooden hut. Whereas this is really, the series is split into 3 locations. The gang, by the time this comes out, this was made in 1986, had gone separate ways. Barry and Oz had kept together and gone to the Falkland Islands to rebuild there after the Falklands War. And Dennis is not doing much, and they have different fortunes. I think Moxie's back in prison, unofficially out of prison. But Barry brings them back together. Barry has got a girlfriend. The Radish has got a girlfriend, and he's actually getting married. And he's struggling renovating the future marital home. So he calls upon the Magnificent Seven. Now, Barry has got a very rose-tinted and very, very happy memory of the miserable time they had in Germany. And he has he's very nostalgic about it. And he's the only one of the 7 who is. And through one means or the other, they all come together to renovate Barry's house. Now, Dennis Patterson is working for a local gangster, Ali Fraser. And as part, Ali's owed money by Dennis, so Dennis is kind of in his pocket. Ali's friend, Kenny Ames, who's a pornographer, buys a stately home. And through one way or another, the Magnificent Seven brought in to renovate the stately home. So basically, the first few episodes are in Wolverhampton, renovating Barry's house. Then there's a few episodes in Derbyshire, renovating a stately home, and they have some interesting interactions with the local pub landlord, and it's hilarious. And the third part of the series is in Spain. Ali Fraser has got a swimming pool that needs building in his Spanish villa. So the last of the debts owned by Dennis, all the gang go over to Spain to refurbish or build a swimming pool for Ali Fraser, the gangster. And it's incredibly enjoyable to see the guys in a warm climate in Spain, working in the sun rather than in the rain in Dusseldorf. One sad thing about the series is Gary Holton died during the making of Series 2, and some of the shots in the later episodes in Spain, they actually use a body double. It's quite fitting that in the last episode, Tim Healy, who plays Dennis, comes on at the beginning and explains that Gary Holton, who played Wayne, died during making this series, and this last episode is dedicated to the memory of Wayne. It's quite touching, to be honest. But most people think Series 1's the classic series. I actually prefer Series 2. A great watch. They did make a third and fourth and a couple of specials to finish it off. Series 1 and 2 were on ITV, made by Central Television. Series 3 was made by the BBC. It's okay. It's in 2003. Most of the guys' lives have completely changed. Oz is a reformed character, and it's a bit of a crazy scheme about getting the Teesside suspension bridge, a big enormous metal bridge that still exists, moving it to America. It's okay. A really good theme tune by Martin Knopfler, Why I Man, and a really good theme tune. And all three series have got good music in them. The theme tune to Series 1 actually become a hit. It was Joe Fagan, Living Alright. That's Living Alright. I'm not going to sing anymore, don't worry. That actually became a hit at the time in the UK. But Series 3, it's okay. Series 4, they go to Havana now, they're working for the British government. It all got a little bit silly and they made 2 specials to end it on and it kind of fizzled out. So while Series 3 is alright, Series 1 and 2 are what most people realise is a Wiedersehen pet. So it's on BritBox as a streaming service, which I don't subscribe to because most of the stuff I want on BritBox I own anyway. If you can pick these up, I think obviously they've brought them out in slightly slimmer packaging. Again, same size box, there's only 4 discs, and there's a picture of Moxie on one of them, and a picture of the guys in Spain, grafting away. Thanks so much for watching. I hope if anybody loves Wiedersehen pets, please like this video. If any comments or questions about the series, it'd be great to get into some discussion. Wiedersehen pet was absolutely huge when it came out. So I was 10 when the first series came out. My mum and dad let me stop up. I think it was on a Friday evening to watch it, and I thought it was brilliant. It was really good. Thanks everybody for joining me and watching our video on a Wiedersehen pet. It is available on BritBox. As I've said, sometimes they repeat it in the afternoon on TV in the UK. They have done it in the past. Just watch out. If it's in the daytime, they tend to heavily cut these episodes. Really heavily cut, censor them. And sometimes the cuts just make the story nonsensical. So just watch out if it's on in the daytime. It tends to be extremely censored. A few years after the show was successful, they did rerun them at 7:30 at night, again in really edited form, and it made the stories kind of nonsensical in some ways. So just be careful about that. Watch the full episodes. It is a fantastic series. In the UK, it was huge, and it made some huge stars and great careers out of the Magnificent Seven. So thanks very much for watching. Take care everybody, and Auf Wiedersehen.